The old photograph is grainy, the edges curled with age. The faded colors barely hint at the desperation in the scene. A group of officers stand in front of a collapsing house in rural Indiana, their faces hardened with the weight of what they've just uncovered. 3 children, no older than 10, are being led out of the hoarder's house by Child Protective Services. Their clothes are ragged, their faces gaunt from years of neglect. The house behind them is a monstrous labyrinth of trash and filth, with piles of newspapers, broken furniture, and discarded garbage spilling out of every window. But it's not just the 3 kids that catch your eye in the photo. In the background, near the porch steps, barely visible through the haze of clutter and chaos, there's another child, a girl, barefoot. Her long, dirty blonde hair is matted, tangled in the mess. She's standing off to the side, half-shadowed, her eyes caught in the flash of the camera like she's been frozen in time. Her face isn't fully turned toward the lens, but you can see enough to know she's there. And yet, despite her unmistakable presence, no one ever mentions her. No records, no names, no follow-up. Not a single person on the scene recalls seeing her. The child was cropped out of the photo, erased from the reports, left to disappear into the background. Why? Who is she, and why was she forgotten? As the years passed, the story of the Dawson children faded into the archives of a cold case. The parents were arrested, and the house was condemned. Life moved on, and the haunting image of 3 siblings, Mark, May, and Bethany, was the only piece of the past anyone remembered. But the 4th child remained a ghost, her name lost to history. Nearly 40 years later, May Dawson stands at the end of that same overgrown driveway, her heart pounding in her chest. The house is still there, sagging under the weight of time, its broken windows staring blankly into the world. The memories she thought she buried long ago are rushing back now. The smell of decay, the sound of her younger brother crying, the cold hands of the social workers as they pulled them away from everything they knew. She never thought she'd return to this place. Not after everything. But the photograph, that photograph, changed everything. The 4th child is back in the story, and May is determined to find out who she was. To answer the questions that have lingered for decades. Why was she forgotten? How did she vanish without a trace? And most importantly, what happened to her? May steps forward, a breath catching in her throat. The weight of the past presses down on her, but she's here now. She's going to find the truth, no matter where it leads. Because someone, has been missing for far too long. The gravel crunches beneath May's car tires as she drives up the long, neglected path to the house. Each bump in the road feels like a knot tightening in her chest. The house looms ahead, 2 stories of faded wood and peeling paint, sagging, under the weight of its history. The car slows, coming to a stop under the remains of what was once a carport. Now it's little more than broken boards and rusted metal, the tin roof buckled and collapsing in the center. May's hands grip the wheel, her knuckles white. The air in the car feels thick, heavy with the past. She hasn't been back here since she was 8 years old, the day everything changed. The memories flood her. The smell of rot and mildew, the piles of garbage and the dingy windows blocked by curtains of dust. The sound of her younger brother Mark crying, his tiny voice filled with fear as they were pulled from the wreckage of their childhood. The hands of social workers, rough and cold, guiding them away from the nightmare that was their home. And the silence that followed as they were sent to a world far from the one they had known, forced to leave everything behind. But now, as she steps out of the car and looks at the house again, something is different. The years haven't been kind to it, but it still stands. The porch, crooked and half-sunken, stretches out in front of her like an invitation, or perhaps a warning. May hesitates for a moment, then walks slowly toward the front steps. Her shoes make a soft sound on the gravel, a rhythm that matches the pounding of her heart. She has no idea what she's looking for here, what she is looking for. But that photograph, that one small piece of forgotten history, has been gnawing at her, pulling her back. It's the only clue she has. A grainy image from 1986, a picture of 3 children, and one blurred face lurking in the background. A girl who wasn't supposed to exist. May's breath catches as she reaches the steps. The wooden boards creak underfoot, groaning with age. She reaches out and places a hand on the railing, feeling the old splinters, the brittle wood that's been worn down by decades of neglect, and then, just like that, the memory hits her. A wave of heat, the sound of her father's voice, loud and harsh. The sight of her baby sister Bethany, tiny and terrified, clutching May's hand as they were dragged away. She was just a child, May thinks, her stomach tightening. We were all just children. She can feel the weight of the past, heavy on her shoulders, as she steps closer to the door. She hasn't come back here for closure. She hasn't come back for forgiveness. She's here because of the 4th child. The girl no one remembers, the girl who was erased from the story. The girl May needs to find. May pushes open the door, which squeals in protest as it opens wide enough for her to slip inside. The air smells stale, filled with dust and the remains of the years gone by. The old house seems to have swallowed the memories whole. The silence inside is suffocating. May pulls her phone out of her bag, the screen lighting up the dark space inside the house. She taps the screen, and the flashlight comes on, cutting through the shadows. She moves carefully, making her way through the old living room, the floorboards, creaking under her weight. Everything looks as she remembers it, except darker, more decayed. The walls are bare, stripped of everything except the lingering scent of abandonment. The floor is cluttered with dust and shattered remnants of what used to be furniture. A broken lamp lies in the corner, its bulb smashed. May's heart races as she steps toward the back of the room. She's not sure what she's hoping to find. A clue, a sign, something to explain the girl in the photograph. But everything seems so normal. Just an old house filled with memories, both hers and the ones she's tried to forget. Then her foot catches on something. A warped floorboard. It doesn't feel right. The wood is uneven, slightly raised in the center, almost as if it's hiding something. She crouches down, shining the flashlight on the floor. There, a seam. A crack in the wood that shouldn't be. There, May runs her fingers over it, feeling the cold metal beneath the wood. Something's off. Her pulse quickens, the hairs on the back of her neck standing up. She can't ignore the feeling something is hidden here. Without a second thought, she pulls a crowbar from her bag. She inserts the metal into the gap between the floorboards and begins prying. The wood groans, splintering, but it gives. A piece of the floorboard pops free. May pulls at it, her heart pounding in her chest, and finally the board lifts. She moves quickly, pulling the hatch open with shaking hands. Darkness greets her, a black hole deep and hollow. The scent of rot, mildew, and something older fills the air. May swallows hard, holding her breath as she shines the flashlight down into the crawl space below. Her eyes widen. It's a small, cramped space, barely big enough for a child to fit. But it's not empty. A mound of tattered blankets, old dolls, broken toys, discarded remnants of a life long gone are piled up in the center. And beside the mound, something catches her eye. A shoe, a small pink canvas Mary Jane with a star-shaped patch, dirt clinging to it like it had been buried for years. May's breath hitches, her pulse quickens. She steps back, her hands trembling. As she lifts the shoe carefully, almost reverently, a cold chill runs down her spine. It's real. It's real. She takes a deep breath and squats down, her flashlight trembling in her grip. She looks closer, her mind racing. She feels the sharp sting of recognition. The girl in the photograph, this was her shoe. This was this 4th child. The realization hits her like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a forgotten face in an old photo. She wasn't a mistake. She was here. She was real. May drops to her knees, clutching the shoe, the weight of everything crashing down on her. The house that once held her childhood memories now holds the truth she's been searching for. She looks at the objects around her, old toys, a shoe, and wonders how much more is buried in this house waiting to be discovered. But one thing is certain. The fourth child was real, and she wasn't meant to be forgotten. May's hands shake as she dials Mark's number. Her finger hovers over the screen, hesitating. She can already hear the flatness in his voice before he picks up. It's the same tone he's used for years, distant, controlled, almost as if he's bracing for something he doesn't want to deal with. "Hey," he answers, his voice thick with the kind of exhaustion that only comes from long-held secrets. "Mark," May says, trying to sound calm, but the words rush out of her anyway like a flood. "I found something at the house." There's a pause. A long one. May's heart hammers in her chest. "Something? What do you mean, something?" His voice is suddenly tight, the kind of tightness that tells her he's already regretting the conversation. "The trap door," May says, trying to sound casual, but the words catch in her throat. "There's a shoe, a pink canvas Mary Jane. It's from the fourth child." The silence on the other end of the line is deafening. May can hear his breathing, shallow and quick. Then, finally, a soft chuckle. "A shoe? May, are you sure?" "I'm sure," she insists. "I'm holding it right now. It's hers, Mark. She was real. The fourth child." She can almost hear Mark's mind racing, trying to piece everything together. And then, as if he's forcing himself to speak, he says, "I don't remember any fourth kid, May. Probably just someone from the neighborhood or a kid who wandered in." But May knows. Better. The hesitancy in his voice is too obvious to ignore. "He's not telling her everything." "Mark," she presses, her voice trembling, "you do remember her. You just don't want to. Don't you remember anything about her?" He sighs a long, exasperated sound that fills the space between them. "Maybe. But that's not something I want to talk about right now, May. Let it go." Her heart drops. There it is, the truth she's been sensing all along. Mark is hiding something. His reluctance to face the past, to talk about the fourth child, is more than just a defense mechanism. It's fear of remembering what they tried to forget. "Mark, I can't let it go. She deserves to be remembered. We can't keep pretending she wasn't there." There's a brief silence, followed by a deep breath from Mark. "I don't know what you want from me, May," he says, his voice finally cracking, the weight of his own guilt leaking through. "I don't remember, and I'm not sure I want to." "Then I'll do it alone," May says softly, before hanging up, her throat tight. She's not angry, she's devastated. Mark's unwillingness to confront the past is just another blow, but it's one she has to bear on her own. The next day, the sound of a knock at the door startles May. She stands frozen for a moment, staring at the old house around her. Her breath quickens as she hears the knock again, louder this time, followed by voices. She hurries to the door and opens it to find two sheriff's deputies standing on the porch, their uniforms slightly disheveled from the summer heat. "Miss Dawson?" one of them asks, his tone professional, but with a hint of concern. "We received a report of a break-in here." "A break-in?" May repeats, her heart racing. What?" "Someone reported seeing a person entering the property. Can you tell us what you're doing here?" the deputy asks, glancing at the partially open door. I'm the owner," she says, trying to sound more confident than she feels. "I'm investigating something. I'm not breaking in." The deputy nods, though he doesn't seem fully convinced. "Mind if we take a look around?" Before May can answer, a voice interrupts, deep and steady. "It's all right, officer." May turns to see a man in his mid-50s wearing a worn gray blazer and jeans. His face is weathered, the kind of face that comes from years of small-town work, but there's something reassuring about the calmness in his eyes. "Detective Howren," he introduces himself, extending his hand to May. "I'm heading up the investigation." The deputies step back, giving Howren space to take charge. May feels a sudden wave of relief wash over her. Someone else is here to help. Maybe, just maybe, she won't have to do this alone. Howren gives the deputies a brief nod, then turns to May. "What have you found?" There's a trap door under the porch, May begins, her voice unsteady as she leads them into the house. And there's a shoe, a pink Mary Jane. It belongs to the fourth child in the photograph. Found? Howard follows her, his gaze never leaving her face, and nods as if he's heard something like this before. Let's take a look. The trap door is still open when they arrive. May shines the flashlight into the dark crawl space, and Howard crouches down to examine the area. The air is thick with dust and mildew, the smell of old decay filling the space. You say this was hidden under the porch all these years? Howard asks, running his fingers along the edges of the hatch. I don't know, May replies, her voice distant. It wasn't here when we were taken. It must have been buried under the trash. Howard examines the old blankets, the toys, and the shoe with meticulous care. His brow furrows as he runs his hand over the items. There's no question. These things have been here for years. May swallows hard, watching him with anticipation. Do you think it's connected to the case? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. Howard doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he stands and looks at her, his gaze steady. I think it's time we take a deeper look at the archives, he says, turning toward the door. If this is real, if this child was actually here, it's going to change everything. Later that evening, May sits at the kitchen table, staring at the photograph from 1986, the image of 3 Dawson children in the arms of social workers. The fourth child's face is barely visible, but it's there. And now the evidence is clear. She was real. Mark hasn't called. He hasn't returned any of her messages. She can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something more, something he doesn't want her to know. Her phone buzzes. It's Mark. May's hands shake as she picks up the phone. May, Mark says, his voice softer now. I didn't want to hurt you. You're not hurting me, Mark. You're keeping secrets. I found something. She was real. Why can't you admit that? There's a long pause before Mark speaks again. I remember more than I've said, but it's not something I want to talk about. It's too much. May's heart aches. You have to talk about it, Mark. We both do. We can't keep hiding from this. I know, he says quietly, but I don't know if I can face it. May holds the phone to her ear, tears welling in her eyes. This isn't just about finding the fourth child. It's about the truth they've both tried so hard to bury, and no matter how much Mark resists, she's not going to stop until she uncovers it all. The days after the deputies left the house are a blur of old photographs, scattered documents, and unanswered questions. The trapdoor beneath the porch has been pried open, revealing the remnants of a forgotten childhood. But something about it doesn't sit right with May. The items inside, the blanket, the dolls, the old shoes, are too familiar, too real. But it's more than that. There is something else, something deeper, hiding just beneath the surface. May's fingers tremble as she flips through the stack of old papers she found in the attic, a mix of childhood drawings, birthday cards, and family photos, all yellowed. With age, she's looking for a connection, something that ties this all together. She's searching for the name of the fourth child, the girl whose face was cropped from the 1986 photograph, and then, buried at the bottom of a worn box, she finds it, a small old diary, the leather cover cracked and worn with time. It's not much, just a few pages, but it's enough. May's heart races as she opens it, the pages brittle under her fingertips. The handwriting is childish, uneven, but legible. March 12, 1986. I'm still here. They told me not to make noise. But I'm not scared anymore. I don't want to be quiet. Maybe they'll let me play with the others. They said I could stay if I was good. I'll be good. I'll stay good. May's eyes skim over the words. Her pulse quickens. This isn't just a child scribbling. It's the voice of someone who was locked away, someone who wasn't meant to be found. She flips to the next page, March 14, 1986. Hear them, the ones who were saved. They are all laughing. They are all safe now. But I can't join them. I'm the one who doesn't speak. I am the fourth. May freezes. The fourth. The words are a knife to her chest. The fourth child wasn't just erased from the records, she was silenced. But May isn't done. She reaches for the next page, her breath shallow. Now, this one is different. It's more jagged, more frantic. March 15th, 1986. I am the fourth. I'm not like them. I am not the same. They took me away when I made noise. They put me in the dark. They told me not to scream, not to cry. I didn't mean to be bad. I didn't mean to fight. But I'm still here. I'm not gone. The words are fragmented, as if written in a rush. Desperation bleeds through every line. May's eyes burn, her throat tight as she reads the last word scrawled across the bottom of the page. They told me I was a mistake, but I'm not. I'm not. May's hands tremble as she slams the diary shut, her heart pounding in her chest. The fourth child's words ring in her ears. I am the fourth. I'm not a mistake. And then it hits her. Kayla. The name burns in her mind. It was never forgotten. It was just buried. The evening is heavy with tension when May calls Mark. She's been sitting in the living room for hours, staring at the photograph from 1986 and the diary, her mind spinning. The photo, the diary, the fourth child, Kayla. It all comes together in a way she didn't expect. The girl in the photograph wasn't just a forgotten face. She was real. She had a name. Mark picks up on the second ring. May, he says, his voice distant. I wasn't sure you'd call after everything. I'm here, May says softly. I found something. I found out who she was. There's a long silence on the other end of the line. May can hear Mark breathing, but he doesn't speak. She can feel the weight of the unspoken words between them. It was her, Mark, May presses, her voice breaking. Her name was Kayla. She wasn't just a kid in the background. She was part of our family, and we left her behind. Mark's voice cracks. May, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to remember. You have to, May replies, her voice steady, despite the rising tide of emotion. We have to remember her. She wasn't erased. She was just buried. But I know her name now. She's Kayla. Another silence stretches between them, this one filled with pain and regret. I remember, Mark finally says, his voice low and strained. I remember her now, but it's not like you think. She wasn't like us, not really. Not in the way that matters. May feels a sharp pang of hurt, but she doesn't let it show. What do you mean? Mark sighs deeply, a sound heavy with years of trauma. We were kids, May. I didn't understand everything, but I remember the nights, the silence. I remember hearing her, Kayla, scratching at the walls, tapping on the floors. She didn't know how to be quiet. She didn't know how to stay in the dark, and they punished her for it. May's breath hitches. She knows exactly what Mark is talking about. The scratching, the tapping. The sound of someone trying to stay hidden, trying to be quiet, trying to survive. Mark, May whispers, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you remember? Was just a kid, Mark replies, his voice barely audible. I didn't understand. All I knew was that we were taken and she wasn't. I didn't want to think about her. I didn't want to remember the things I heard, the things I saw. Mark, May says, her voice thick with emotion. She was real. She was part of our family, and she deserved to be remembered. We should have remembered her. I know, Mark says quietly. I know now. I'm sorry. May's throat tightens as she listens to his voice crack. For the first time in years, she hears the raw pain that has been hidden beneath the surface of their relationship. They both buried the truth. They both tried to forget. But now it's all coming back, and they can't run from it anymore. She was the fourth, Mark, May says softly. She was real. She was Kayla. And now we can't forget her. We can't. Mark doesn't say anything. There's only silence. But this time, it's not uncomfortable. It's the kind of silence that happens after the truth is spoken, when the weight of everything finally comes crashing down. Thank you, May whispers, for remembering. The line goes quiet again, and May closes her eyes. The truth has been buried for so long, but now, finally, it's coming to light. The small cemetery is quiet. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting a soft golden light across the grass. A gentle breeze stirs the air, carrying the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth. May stands alone by a freshly dug grave, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. She's not alone, though, not really. A group of people has gathered in the distance, some of them survivors, some strangers who heard the story of Kayla and came to honor her memory. Mark and Bethany are there too, standing a little apart, their faces solemn. May's hands tremble as she kneels beside the grave. The headstone has been engraved with a simple inscription, Kayla Dawson, 1981 to 1986. She was loved, and she will always be remembered. She runs her fingers over the cool stone, her heart heavy but filled with a quiet peace. This is the final step, the one she's been working toward all this time. The mystery is over, the truth is no longer buried, and Kayla, the fourth child, is no longer forgotten. A soft rustling sound breaks the silence, and May looks up to see the others coming closer. Mark, his eyes red from unshed tears, approaches her slowly. He doesn't say anything at first, but he places a hand on her shoulder. "I didn't think this day would come," he says quietly, "but I'm glad it did. She deserved this." "We all did." May nods, her throat tight. She's tried for so long to understand the weight of the past, to reconcile with the years they lost. But today, standing at this grave, she feels like she's found a piece of herself that had been missing all along. Behind them, Bethany steps forward, her hands trembling as she holds a small bouquet of white flowers. She places them gently at the base of the headstone, her eyes wide with the innocence of someone who's finally learned the truth about a past she never knew. May watches her, feeling the weight of the years they lost, but also a sense of release. It's over, she thinks. She's at peace. Later, as the others leave, May lingers by the grave. The sun has set, and the sky is painted with shades of purple and orange. She sits quietly on a nearby bench, staring at the headstone, her mind racing with thoughts of the past, of Kayla, of all the children who were forgotten. But she's not alone in this memory anymore. Not since she found the truth. Not since she uncovered the secrets that had been buried beneath the house, hidden in the darkness, waiting to be uncovered. She stands up slowly, her legs stiff from sitting, and walks over to the grave once more. Her fingers brush the stone and she whispers, "I won't forget you, Kayla. You were never a mistake. You were loved, and you'll never be alone again." May pauses for a moment, taking a deep breath. The weight of the past still lingers, but now it feels different, lighter, more manageable. She's made peace with it, with Kayla, with herself. "I promise," she whispers, her voice steady now. "I'll make sure the others are remembered too. I'll keep searching. No one will ever be forgotten again."